Welcome back to the Designer Bacterium Tournament of 2022, and this is where things are going to start to get interesting. The way that seeding has worked for this tournament style, I started out by separating those that were incompatible. These bacteria were automatically eliminated from the competition due to combinations that would prevent the bacteria from surviving in the environment. We also had some bacteria that involved some combinations that would be rather unlikely, but not impossible. These were put in a separate group. The rest of the bacterial species were put together in a bracket that proved to be a little bit more competitive. These were the compatible bacteria. So we're going to start by giving our incompatible bacteria some honorable mentions. We have Turbo from Block 3, which is a spirochete that used transformation for DNA exchange and moved through gliding motion. The reason for this bacterium's elimination is because gliding motion would have the bacteria moving across or on top of the surface of the environment. And while this can work for bacteria that have a large amount of surface area, the spiral bacterium will not have a great amount of surface area. So there isn't enough to hold it down to that environmental surface in order for it to really get traction to move forward. The bacterium from 6 block named Kenny was unable to function because it was a cockle shape. That shape is too small to be a successful anchor for multiple flagella. You will see in the unlikely group that we have one coccobacteria shape with a flagellum. And that one was included because, unlike Kenny, a single flagellum could be possible. So we're going to give a round of applause to Turbo and Kenny, but we're going to leave them here in the honorable mentions category as we move on to the unlikely bracket. In our unlikely bracket, we have our first competition between LV from 1st block, and LV is going to be up against Squiggles from 8th block. You'll notice that Squiggles has the same morphology and locomotion. However, the way that DNA exchange occurs in these two is quite different. Remember that conjugation is where the two bacteria would form a link and transfer DNA directly, whereas transformation is where the bacteria would pick up DNA from its environment. This is a tricky matchup because coccus bacteria like to clump together. They like to stick together and form colonies. However, these groups have added one of the fastest locomotion methods to a bacterium that doesn't really rely on movement to form diverse colonies. This is why they were put in the unlikely category. But given that we do have a flagellar structure in both of them, the decision for the winner is based upon the locomotion method. So if bacteria were moving very quickly, and with flagellar motion, they're going very quickly and in all directions, being able to find another bacterium of the same species in order for conjugation to occur is going to be more unlikely than the bacteria speeding along and picking up DNA from the environment that it finds. So with that being said, the winner for this matchup between LV and Squiggles is going to be Squiggles. Next we have Ghostbuster, created by members of 6 block, and a combination created by 1st and 3rd block named Keisha Lotus Harvey. An unintentional overlap. That DNA exchange method is the big reason for why Ghostbuster and Keisha Lotus Harvey are in the unlikely category. Really, the only difference is the method of locomotion being used. Ghostbuster uses spiral swimming, whereas Keisha Lotus Harvey uses a flagella. This is an easier matchup to declare a winner for because when we consider the flagellum, this structure is how the bacteria is going to move. It's going to whip back and forth, allowing the bacteria to propel forward. So the surface area of what's being pushed forward is this whole face. And that whole face is going forward at the same time. So in a liquidy environment that's going to push back against the bacterium, this is going to be really difficult. However, when you have spiral swimming, you use this front part of the bacterium to lead the way and spiral like a corkscrew. This will allow it to move more efficiently through liquid environments. And for that reason, Ghostbuster is the winner of the matchup.